security, technology, energy, agriculture, health, infrastructure issues. Beth has also served as the trustee of the Rusinga Island Trust, a community-based Kenyan trust located in West Kenya. She serves as a board advisor to the East Africa Chamber of Commerce. And in addition to that, being a member of numerous professional organizations, she just joined the board of Friends of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy and is serving as a professional mentor for the Southern Methodist University program. Excellent, very well. Okay, and then we have, let's see, we have Kelly Schindler?
Yes, Schindler.
Schindler. I practiced so much. Okay, Schindler. And she is the VP of International Franchise Development at Jibu, a safe drinking water social franchise enterprise in Africa. Jibu owns and operates more than 200 decentralized safe drinking water packing franchises in Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and Zimbabwe, and has scaled a network of locally owned, financially independent, and self-sustaining franchises that provide safe drinking water to their communities while offering life-changing training and employment. Prior to joining Jibu, Kelly led international development for American casual dining chain Chili's Grill and Bar, and generated more than $6 million in new franchise partnerships through Central and South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. In addition to growing Chili's international footprint by 30% year over year, Kelly oversaw the brand's international IP protection, global legal compliance, and cross-functional consumer research teams in China, Colombia, Panama, South Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam. So, she's a certified franchise executive, holds a certificate in franchise management from Georgetown University, an international MBA from Escuela de Administración de Empresas, EAE Business School, and 2 Bachelor of Arts degrees from the University of Alabama. Very good. All right, and next we have Rashonda Johnson. Rashonda is a business development specialist in the Small and Medium Enterprise Finance Department at the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, also known as OPIC. I know lots of people were excited about this. As business development specialist, Rashonda focuses on counseling U.S. companies seeking financing, evaluating new project proposals and loan applications, and developing new business opportunities. Prior to joining OPIC, Rashonda served as U.S. Commercial Service and U.S. Aid. Her primary responsibilities were assisting in outreach to the U.S. business and trade communities and facilitating new business opportunities. Rashonda, an MPA with an emphasis on policy and management from Bowie State University, and a bachelor's degree in international business from Wright State University. She's also an alumna of a multi-country study abroad program which emphasizes global comparative study. And Jolyn Musongo is the president and CEO of Akari Management Group Incorporated, which is based in Arlington, Texas. She has over 15 years of experience working in the program management, construction management, and diversity program industries. Jolene has planned, implemented, coordinated, and directed minority and women businesses enterprises, also known as MWBE programs, ranging from small construction projects to billion-dollar projects throughout the DFW Metroplex. Jolene understands firsthand that the recipe for a successful MWBE program starts with strong collaborations between the client and the community, followed by strong policies, procedures, and coordination, and lastly, by well-established systematic processes that measure key performance indicators and provide a detailed reporting and stakeholders. Jolene earned her BA in law and MBA in finance from Bangalore University. Jolene has been the recipient of Quest for Success Award from the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce, the Luna Rising Star Award from the Regional Hispanic Contractors Association, and the Emerging Leader Award for the U.S. Small Business Administration. Very impressive panel already, so this is going to be fantastic. So what I'd like to happen is for me to ask some questions that can help generate a conversation. So I'm going to ask a question, and panelists, I want you to jump in wherever you see fit. If you have a question for another panelist, go ahead and ask it at that time, because I think it's better if we just create a dialogue. Okay? So I'm going to start with Beth. My question to you, all right. My question to you is, you have been connected to the Rasinga Island Trust since 2005. Can you describe your experiences in the past 12 years? And what are some of the most challenging or rewarding experiences in West Kenya for you?
So the Rasinga Island Trust is located on Rasinga Island, which many Kenyans have never been to, which is interesting. It's one place I've been where a lot of Kenyans haven't been. But so it's a multifaceted trust, which is based on community development. And the interesting, I think the most impactful part of working with the community is watching the women grow and being able to work with the women to all of us to learn about activities and opportunities that are available for women on the island. And really, it's not any different than what's happening here in the United States for the diaspora or for women in general to network together, to pull together, to be. I think one of the things that I've learned through my experience in Kenya and in the US is women always do for others, and we don't really spend a lot of time working for each other. We're looking for people to feed and to take care of, and it's awesome, and we want to continue doing that, but we do have to be advocates for each other. Yes. And it's not to the exclusion of men. We need our men. In fact, we need our men to become more educated about the plight of women around the world. I'm sure I went to a book club, and the topic was the Lean In book, and the topic was, you know, have all of your girls read it? And I went, wait a minute. Our girls don't need to read it. It's our boys that need to read it, because our men are in a position to give opportunities to women at this point, and we want that to change, but that's the reality. So we're really struggling with the same challenges, whether or not it's in Kenya or in the United States. So I'm excited to be here tonight. I hope that we continue to work as a group to lift each other up and understand that it is our job. No one's coming to rescue women. It's women rescuing women. So.
Thank you. Panelists, any responses to that specifically, or do you want me to move on to what I think we should? Okay, so with that said, I think it would be great to transition to you, Jolene, because I think considering your own company and thinking about MWBE, what have you faced as a woman, as a foreigner, in trying to convey your ideas to larger corporations?
How many minutes do I have? First of all, I'd like to make sure that this is a conversation. It's not about us sitting here. As a matter of fact, I wish we were standing somewhere there just meeting and talking to you, rather than sitting here making it seem so tense. So I want you guys to just feel comfortable. We're here, we're talking, we're chit-chatting, tunateta, tunaongea, and life goes on. How about that? Now, first of all, I'd like for all the women in the room to give yourselves a round of applause for just being here, wanting to learn, wanting to know, wanting to find out. And then for the brave men in that. How about that? But thank you so much. It is such an honor for me to be here and speaking. I had a chance to ask Elsa today. It's like, am I the only Tanzanian who actually went and who is actually speaking today? And she says, yeah, there's a delegation from Tanzania. But anyways, I'm here, I'm happy.
That's what's important.
That's what's important. How lucky, how blessed is the East Africa Chamber of Commerce to have such leadership. Elsa, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank the administration, your board of directors for a great job and the dedication you're doing for our community. So who would have thought that Jolene Wisongo, the girl from Makongo, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, where there is no running water, the roads don't even start talking about it, would be here talking to an esteemed group of people about inspiration and women in America? Who would have thought that the Jolene Wisongo you might find at Nai Lounge, dropping in like it's hot, is here? And if Carol Fuqua is here, she's the one to blame for that. Would be here talking to such an esteemed group. And who would think that the Jolene Wisongo, who at that point of time didn't know how she would make mortgage, how she would keep a job, maintain my job, how I would pay for my daughter's daycare, or make ends meet, would actually be here talking. But all in all, I'm here, I'm glad, I'm happy. I'm not an expert in this area, but I'm just here to share my inspiration. Going back to the question, what was it?
So, in your experience, what has given you the courage to do what you do in front of people that you don't know, who have experience?
As a foreigner, right?
Yeah, and as a woman too.
Okay, so there is a saying, and I'm sure most of you know, God grant me the serenity to... There you go. And to me, what plays the most role in there is the part that says, change the things I can change. What are those things that I can change? What do I know that I can change? Is the things that I have control on, which is myself. The messages I tell myself in my head. So I remember, everything I say is with a story. I remember when I first finished, when I got my master's degree and went back home, I got myself a little job at the International Bank of Malaysia. And I had a boss who kind of gave me this title that I knew, I felt like I didn't deserve. I was just straight from college, I didn't have the experience. I thought, ooh, this doesn't feel right. He would drag me to these meetings because of the title that I had. He would drag me to the meetings and I'll be there with a group of men, older men, speaking and big words and louder, some just conversations. And I didn't feel like I could fit in and even give my 2 cents of what I had to give. So I remember one day when we were leaving the meetings, he says, Jolene, you are smart. When you and I are speaking, or when you are in conversations in our office, you really contribute a lot. But when I take you to these meetings, you don't say anything. And I said, I don't fit in. First of all, I'm the only female in the room. I'm the youngest. Now, given I was 23, 24, everybody was old at that time to me. And I'm the youngest. I don't have the experience. Everybody is speaking and talking, and nobody would listen to me. So I feel like I need to fit in first. He says, so your problem is the fact that you are waiting to fit in before you start speaking. And I'm like, yeah. And he says, and you call that a problem? He says, do you see those men? Some are using big words. Some are louder. Everybody is trying to be a little bit different so that they can have that stage to pitch whatever it is they're trying to convey. And that's the same mentality I brought with me here in America. I walk into the room, most of the time, I'm in the construction industry. It's male-dominated, white male, Caucasian male. I walk into the room, most probably I'm the only female. I'm the only African-American. I'm the only African, I'm the foreigner. So one of the things my boss told me was, you can never fit in. First of all, you're a female, you'll never be a male. And then they're older, guess what? You'll never catch up with them because as you're getting older, they're getting older too. So just learn to use this what you call a disadvantage to your own advantage. And that's what I did back then, and I do it now. I try to see the advantage, the opportunity in every disadvantage situation that I feel is a disadvantage, to try and see where can I turn that into my advantage. So even here in America, when I come in, my foreignerness, being a foreigner, to me is, okay, I walk into the room, the first thing they'll ask me is, oh, I hear an accent, where are you from, how did you get here, what brought you here? Yeah. To me, instead of taking that as, oh my God, I'm so tired of these questions, oh my God, they're noticing that I'm different. Okay, they've noticed that I'm different. I have their attention. Let me make sure now I give my pitch. Now this is the other thing my boss told me. So you're different. When you start talking, everybody will keep quiet and listen because you're different from everybody else. You have their attention. This is the key thing. Once you get that opportunity, you better know what you're talking about. You better be prepared. You better know, because you have two things to do, two impressions to leave. Either you've got beauty and brains, as sad as that sounds, or you'll just confirm what they're already thinking about you as a woman in that room. So that's, oh my goodness, that was a long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Okay, so responses to that? Did anybody feel, I already think, Kelly, you have something to say because we kind of talked about this, and it can lead into the question that I'm going to ask that's specific to Jibu. If you want to talk about your experience and, you know, how you actually found the courage to get this job.
Sure, thanks. So I left corporate America about a year ago, and it was terrifying. And, you know, I never had the plans to work for a startup. And I think what's really important is just to be open to what life comes, what life brings you, and to really seize the opportunity. So how I ended up at Jibu, I was actually taking classes at Georgetown University and was taking a franchise management track. And I met one of the co-founders of Jibu. And we talked, we met maybe 3 years ago. And so we just kept in touch over the years, and I'd ask them, hey, how are you doing? Have you thought about this business model? Gave them some PR advice, different things like that, but literally no ulterior motive. And then one day, about a year ago, or I guess it was 2 years ago now, I got an email from them, from their newsletter that said, hey, we're growing so fast. We have requests from 50 countries. We're thriving in Rwanda and Uganda. We're going into Kenya. And so I call them up and I say, hey, man, like, what's your plan? What's your strategy? You know, where are you going to get fundraising from? Like, how are you going to approach international expansion? And you know, older white male says, I don't know, help. Okay, so here I am, you know, late 20s, only maybe 6 years under my belt of experience, but. And it was really scary, but he took stock in me, and he took a risk on me, and I took a risk on them, and I said, you know, let's talk about how I could be coming to Jibu. And so I had to be really brave, and I saw what I wanted, but I had to ask for it. And I think as women, we feel bad about asking, and then when we get what we ask for, we still feel bad about it, right? And so, right. And so, you know, that's something I just saw, and I said, here is a company that's literally disrupting the water space, is creating jobs in local communities, is making water accessible, and really is making a footprint from a social impact stance. And so I said, I want my life to count. I was in franchising, selling the world burgers, and that was great. But this is a bit more meaningful path. But I say all of that and just to say, don't be afraid. If you dream up of something that you can do, if that position isn't open, if the funds aren't there, if things sound crazy, just go for it. Because you know, people can always say no. They can always say no. But they said yes to me. And it's about having enough respect for yourself as a person and as a woman to say, I can do that job, and I need to step up to the stage and actually take that opportunity. So just a little background there.
Excellent, thank you. So now I want to come to you, Rashonda. I know that I didn't, give you this question, but I'm sure it's something that's on your heart now. In your experience, how did you get to OPIC as a woman? Like, how did you manage this particular field in the way that these women have expressed their experiences?
Yeah. So, without being long-winded, but it's a really interesting story, and when I share it, people are always like, why don't you share that more? But to me, when you're looking at yourself and you're the subject, it's like, okay, that's not really that interesting, but apparently it is. So I'm from Ohio. I studied international business in undergraduate school, and unlike many of my friends, I knew coming out of high school exactly the space that I wanted to be in, and I chose a major and I stuck with it the entire time. I did not know what my responsibility would be or what the job would look like, but I knew two things. I wanted to help people and I wanted to travel. That's all I had going for me. So I did a study abroad program called Semester at Sea, and it focuses on comparative studies, and many of the countries that we visited during that semester were these emerging markets. We were in places like Brazil, South Africa, India, Myanmar, and just being exposed to that and seeing what the need was, I was like, this is what I want to do. And it was more about just wanting to help people. And so then I was like, okay, well, this is like more of a humanitarian thing. And I didn't have any other exposure to anything else in this space. I knew USAID, and that was it. So once I graduated, I went to Puerto Rico for a little bit and, was trying to figure things out. I ended up coming back home, and my focus was, just trying to figure things out like most new graduates, just, trying to, sustain and live. And so I was invited by an aunt to come and stay with her in Washington, D.C. And I was like, this is perfect. This is a space that I need to be in. Perfect place, for development and international business if I choose to do that. So I quit the job that I was working and just went. I had nothing set up. And I stayed with her. And I had, some odd jobs, but in those jobs, I was speaking to different people and letting them know exactly what my interest was. All I had for them was, I'm interested in international business. I'm interested in international development. And I came across many people that promised me the moon. Yeah, I know somebody. And I came across this one particular person, and she said, I think I may have something for you. And so I didn't hear from her for about 3 months or so, totally forgot about her. She called me at my job at that time, and she said, hey, don't quit your job. I've got a contract, try it out. I was like, well, I can't just be a part-time at my job. I have to make a decision here. She's like, well, it's only for 90 days. I said, oh, shoot. So I'm going to leave my full-time job with benefits for a 90-day contract that I'm not sure is going to work out. So I did. I took a chance because after I, figured out the agency that she was, got this contract, I was like, oh, I'm going to make this work. And that's what I did. And to be totally honest, when I first started at OPIC in 2011, I was doing very, basic admin stuff. But I was doing a good job, and I'm so curious. The things that I was like scanning and filing or whatever were the projects. And so I was taking my time to read these documents and figure out what's going on. And so once people found out that I actually had a degree, they they invited me to tag on and do different things from them. And so one thing I will say, and just to take away from this, we've discussed relationships, but that was such a huge part in how I ended up where I'm at today. As you know, there's not many minorities in this space. There's not many women of power in this space. And so for me, coming from a small town in Dayton, Ohio, it's like it's a really rare opportunity, and I recognize that, and I took advantage of it and did the very best I could when I was given the opportunity.
It's so nice to listen to you, because as a woman with my story, I can relate to so many things, and these are the two things I kind of took away. She kept saying that she said and she said, which makes me, I was writing down my notes, how important is it to have women in all leadership, in all levels. And for me, it also took another woman who gave me my chance. And when I came with all my degrees and all of that, what you heard about, I was at a reception desk. I was a receptionist at a construction, at a bond program construction. And I was doing the same thing, scanning documents and the admin work. And I remember now, I don't know if this is part of me being a foreigner and not having the right etiquette or just going for it. I went to her room, to her office one day, and I said, do you guys understand how much talent you're losing by having me as a receptionist? That's a true story. I said, I am so blind. I'm reading those documents, I sit in these meetings taking notes, and some solutions come so easy to me. I have solutions, but I don't have. I said, if you guys ever need anything more than just me fighting, come to me. I can help. You guys are losing out by having me as a receptionist. And the lady, she was from Nicaragua. She says, oh my God, you remind me so much of myself 20 years ago. And she says, I'll keep that in mind. But it took that one lady. And again, it was this construction. So that was back in 2003. She's the one who has continued to see me with the abilities that I have to this day. Even the men that I've worked with around, and they're good men, but it's like, we don't do this. There's some struggles that I go through that they don't understand, and as a woman, she listens to me and she goes like, okay, this is how you need to approach that. And she gives me that advice. So to me, no matter what level you are in, I think it's very important for you to look back and see how you can help another woman, because you are in a better place to help that woman than any other man in that corporation.
I think I'll leave it to that. Thank you.
That's great. I was actually going to ask that question to Beth, who is getting up. Same question.
So,
thinking about women who have kind of pushed you in the direction that you're in as an attorney, how has that developed? I know you gave her the I agree with you.
well, I love her story because I do think that women are so powerful in the careers of other women. And interestingly enough, the person that was probably most impactful in my life was my dad, which gives us all a lesson today of how we need to empower our young girls. So as a father and a mother, I grew up in a family of 3 girls, and there was never a time when I didn't think I could do whatever I wanted to do. I was actually, didn't really understand some of the obstacles in front of women, but my father loved us. I think I was number 3. I think he prayed for a boy. I came out, and instead I got a baseball mitt, and I didn't play with balls. Dolls. I played with balls, and my sisters were the more girly. Actually, we're all attorneys, so we all ended up picking the same career. But the truth is that I think, raising our children it starts from, really day one, that I love being a woman. I never want to give that up. I like doors being open for me, and I like blow drying my hair, and I like lipstick, and I like a lot of things that women like, and I'm not giving up my femininity, but I do believe that if our girls, we have the opportunity today to be enlightened enough to know that we need to start on day one by letting them know that they have the same opportunities. And frankly, today, we've got to make sure that our boys know the same thing, because today, I think that our boys are really suffering from loss of opportunity and direction. So, but along the way, I had many women in my life that supported the crazy things that I wanted to do, and I really think that if you are a stay-at-home mom, if you are a working mother, if you are a young person without children, you can have a huge impact on a woman in your life. And if everyone just takes one person and tries to make a difference, we would have a very different world. And this has to do with women, it has to do with race relations, it has to do with everything that we do every day. And I think, obviously, I'm preaching to the people that are here today, and they all understand this, and so we're talking to a crowd that we know understands these issues, but I think that we can all go out and make a difference, every one of us, and we should never minimize the impact we can have. I do want to say that Elsa is our first female, I keep saying president, but what is it? It's really
Chairperson.
Chairwoman, chairperson, president. I want Elsa to stand up because, I do think that I was certainly maybe a little bit more than a cheerleader for Elsa as she, I met Elsa and saw all the potential and great leadership skills that she has, and we needed that in our organization, and I'm so proud of her. Every day she astounds me at her business maturity and ability to work in a crowd with diverse interests and activities. And I want to thank you for all you've done for us for the last few years.
Having everyone here and really seeing that there's so much value, not just for women, men as well, which we invited. Ambassador, we appreciate you being here, of course. The value that the Chamber gives women is really important, because when Beth actually thought about Women Connecting Women, we tried to come up with a name, and she came up with that, and I thought, that's fantastic. So I want people to understand that it takes a team of people to really do this kind of thing, and the ladies up here just said it all. My daughter here, and I have another one in the audience, who sometimes I had to press to come, but she had to be here. But I just think that it's so important that we see the value in people who can motivate us, people who are entrepreneurs, these ladies here that volunteer for the Chamber, they don't get paid for it, but they see the value. At the end of the day, it's about all of us. So I'm going to use this 30 seconds to just say thank you so much for being here and attending. And at the end of the day, you have to really seek it, join, volunteer, because this is where the opportunity comes from.
So my little impact on the world is Elsa coming to grace us with her presence. Sometimes I think she'd like to curse me over the job a few weeks before this every year if things get a little hot, and I have to talk her back into the circle. But really, Elsa, thank you. I'm sure each of us have stories about women in our lives that have, women and men that have given us opportunities. So I want to just pass the baton to someone to share.
I actually am going to be counterculture because recently in my career, I actually was really bullied by a woman. And I had a male boss who went to bat for me. And unfortunately, I was getting all of this success and hitting all my KPIs and results every year. And there was this one woman at the top that just had a grudge against me, and literally just was totally unprofessional and would find every way to try to drag me down in meetings. And it was so great, to have a leader, especially a male leader, to really go to bat for you. And he really confronted her, and he's like, this is really unprofessional. I don't understand what chip you have on your block, but you need to be pulling her up and encouraging her because she's the future leader of this company. And I'm not sure what your personal vendetta is, but this has got to stop. So I think, you know, there's a lot of men in our lives too that can be our advocates for, you know, even those women that are trying to tear you down. And you know, I think it's important to point out, and like you said, we need to bring others along and encourage each other and support other women, because if we don't, it's just, you can listen to those lies, and you can let those people, the exception to the rule or the bad apples, you know, not support you. But you just have to remember who you are, what your results are, and to get that support from women and from men. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Questions in, and if we have additional time, then I'll ask more specific questions.
Well, what I had a question about is I'm starting out brand new. I wanted to get some information from you guys. What was your biggest regret, or what influenced you, or what motivated you to push, keep going? Even I know you had obstacles, and I wanted to know what pushed you and to keep going.
I've always been driven, one, by my family, just a desire to contribute more to my family, and then I've also had the same desire to just help people, you know, outside of my family. That's just always been a part of who I am, and that's really something to help propel you, like, you know, just that desire to want to help people, especially like after traveling and being exposed to different things and just seeing, you know, the need that's there. That's enough to drive me, and that's really what's kept me going.
Great.
Well, I was just going to say that I just believe in dreaming. I just believe that you follow your dreams and don't believe the things that people tell you that you can't do. Decide what you want to do. Look, you don't have to narrow your options, but look at the future, look at things you'd like to do, dream about them, and go for it. You know, you're going to fail some. That's just part of it. Don't be afraid of failure. I think women like to plot things out, and they like to have they like to do things where they know they will be successful. Yeah. And the reality is that can be a really great thing, or it can be something that holds you back. So you know what? You're going to have some failures, but if you don't dream and if you don't reach, you're never going to get there. So follow your dreams, ask people to help you attain your dreams, keep pushing. It's great. I never ever dreamed that I'd be working in East Africa and that anyone that was East African would even care to ever listen to anything I had to say. But it was a dream for me, and I've had some great people that have been able to help me get involved in business in East Africa, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me, but it wasn't easy. And I know you all have been in the same place, but I look different than everyone here. But I don't think different than everyone here, and so it's about what's in your head. Yeah, so follow your dreams.
You just told us a woman tried to pull you down. I want you to believe there's so many women maybe in this room who are going through the same thing, or maybe will go through the same thing. But I want you to explain to us, at that particular moment, before your director stepped in, what did you do? Were you angry to that woman? How did you behave yourself?
She's not alive, just kidding. That was a joke. Honestly, I really struggle with it because I'm an ENTJ. If you look at the test, personality test, I'm an extrovert. I'm very sensitive. I'm a people pleaser. So it's not a good combination when you have conflict that you didn't really welcome on your doorstep. So what I did at first, I did take it really personally, and I didn't react to her because I knew showing her any reaction was going to tell her that I allowed her to treat me that way. And, you know, when people disrespect us, somewhere along the path, we show them it's okay to do that to us. And so there was a few certain examples. I waited a few times because I was like, clearly this isn't a trend, and maybe I'm being too sensitive. But it got to a point after 2 or 3 times where it was very clear that the unprofessional behavior was consistent. And so I didn't react, and she tried to get reactions out of me. But I took the high road because I felt so bad for her. She has to be in such a bad place to want to tear me down and try to screw up my career because of her jealousy or whatever place that she's in. So I honestly just prayed for her, and I honestly sought advice from mentors within the company that were high up that were investing in me, just like you have. And I was able to get my head on straight and saying, listen, like, this is personal, but it's really not about me. It's about that person. And so I was able to just take the high road and kill her with kindness, but then once it got so exacerbated, that's when my boss was like, I need to step in. And he's like, you can fight your own fight, but this is like, at this point, this is not even acceptable. And she was a senior leader at a publicly traded Fortune 500 company in human resources. So, but yeah, you just have to not take it personally and take the high road, because I don't ever want to compromise my professional character and what I stand for. So.
I'd just like to add something to that very fast. Something similar happened to me, and it's sad to know that in my whole, since when I started my business in 2009, the one time that I was truly affected and hurt was done by another woman. Now, this was for a project. It was a two-phase project that we knew that was coming up. I teamed up with a person. She brought the relationships and I brought the expertise. And we went through the first phase of the project. We knew that if we won that, most probably we'll win the second part, which is the biggest. It was bigger. The first part was about $200 million, the cost of the project, and then the second part was $1.1 billion. So we went, did the proposal, and we won the project. But by the time we won it, since she had the relationship, she was able to sign the contract without me. Yes, so that was very hurtful. Now, to answer your question, how did she react? How did I react to that situation? Taking the high road was one part of it, but the other part of it, it catapulted me to work so much harder for the second part, which I won.
So I have two questions. We've talked about how other women have lifted you up. I would like to hear examples of how you've lifted other women up. And then the second part of my question is, how do you go about finding a mentor? Like, you can't just approach someone and be like, oh my God, I think you're great, can you be my mentor? So what is your thought process when you're going through and finding people that you look up to who can guide you or who've been where you're trying to go? So if you can, anybody.
So I think you can say, oh my God, you're fantastic, be my mentor. Because that's really, I mean, if that's what you want, if you don't ask for it, many times it won't happen and someone else will take that position from you. I think that it's okay. That's a compliment, and you know, that doesn't mean she's going to be there every day with you, walking through every step of your life, but it's really, very often, I think if you just ask for help, that I'm inclined to believe that the kind of person that you think should be your mentor is the kind of person that probably wants to be a mentor. And there's nothing more flattering in the world than being asked to do that. But you also need to remember that along with what you will provide that person, mentoring is an incredibly rewarding thing to do. As an older person, I can tell you, I think I'm one of the oldest people in this room. I'm now mentoring, there's a professional mentoring program, a new program at Southern Methodist University Law School. And when they called me, you know, they started out with a small group. I thought, oh, I just don't know if I can really do this. I feel like my practice has moved to such a specialized area. I'm not sure that, I'm going to be as valuable. And I had a lot of, I was really concerned that I wasn't going to be able to do a good job. So part of, being out there is, do people really want to be mentored? And do you really have the skills to mentor someone? And I found that a lot of the women and men that, and I guess I've had 6 mentees that reach out and ask this year, you know, we've been talking about life. We've been talking about Las Vegas. We've been talking about race relations. I mean, it's been so much more than where they want to work when they grow up, you know, which is what I thought. I was like, oh, I don't really know if you want to take my advice on that. I've had a very curvy path, but it's been a really, I think I've definitely learned more from mentoring than I've given. So for each of you, the opportunity to mentor is equally rewarding and important. So I hope that answers your question.
I would say, just to add one more as far as vetting for a mentor, what I did when one of my most influential mentors that I had and still have to this day, I looked for a skill set that I was really weak in, that I wanted to improve upon, and I tried to gravitate not towards opposite personality. You want to get along with them and talk about Vegas and your late night or whatever, but I looked for the skill sets that I had and where I wanted to grow to get to the future career that I want. And then I started to really be very intentional about fostering those relationships with that individual. So it was making a personal connection first. So it's not just all business. Invest in their family. Are they like a sports team? Or do you guys happen to eat at the same, you know, salad place every Wednesday? It's about establishing that personal connection, but then just being very purposeful with how you select it. And so that's what's really helped me to hone in some of those gaps and skills that I had to help to close those. So that's what's been helpful to me. And then I mentor an underprivileged girl that lives in South Dallas, which is the most impoverished area in Dallas. So I've been able to share more with her a picture about that there's more to life besides teenage pregnancy at 13, and she can be the first to go to college out of her family, and there is amazing opportunity, and she's super talented, and she can do whatever she wants to do in this world because she's smart and she's empowered and she's going to go far. And I try to model that for her, and I try to just love on her and lift her up and show her that there's another way to break out of that cycle of poverty and lack of education. So.
Well, I'd like to say I agree with Beth. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going up to someone. And the other thing I'd like to add is, I mean, before I used to think of someone, a mentor, as someone that was physically tangible to me. And what I've learned is that, you know, I've adopted mentors I've never met before. You know, I'm reading their books, I'm listening to their podcasts. They are my mentors. So that's one thing. In terms of what I'm doing myself, day to day in my professional life, I'm always interacting with investors and women in particular. A lot of people that come in, or call in or email, you know, they have small businesses or they're interested in starting a business. And though it's not really required of me, I do choose to take more time with them, especially if they do not fit in OPIC programs, and provide them feedback on other agencies that have an expertise that fit their particular project or whatever they're trying to do. So I am very mindful of that, and you know, I just want to continue to do that and have more of an impact.
My name is Dr. Josephine Senkongo, originally from Uganda. I reside in New Mexico. I'm mom of 7 children. I own 90 acres of property in New Mexico. What I'm asking from this group today, being that you're representing us on the chamber level, how can you help us women entrepreneurs to advance? I know we've heard about the banks giving us loans and everything that we have to go through to get where we want to be. It's a challenge to some of us. I hope that from today, when women we live today, we can be able to take something back with us. And speaking on my personal level, I do have a training center that I had to open up. I wanted to open up in Uganda. But with all the challenges that we've had from other forums, it's hard to establish a learning school. So I have one I opened up on October 7th October 2nd in New Mexico is teaching nurses. I need help to be able to run that school successfully. On the properties, as I talked with Dr. Sam on my right, I wanted to farming, thinking that when students go through these programs, they know how to take care of themselves on a healthy level, we'll have better nurses down the road. So, is there any opportunities through this chamber that as women we can be helped to become entrepreneurs, be able to sustain, instead of leaving our homes, leaving our children, as I've mentioned, I have 7, be able to work from home or work a few hours and still be able to contribute to the economy?
Okay, so that,
so I'll answer that. So as you know, that this is a nonprofit organization. However, the resources that we have would be able to, I mean, that's on a person-to-person kind of interaction. So if there's any specifics, I can give them to you. I don't have any that I can just rattle off right now. But what I'll do is, if there's any interest for people who want to start their business, obviously this is why we have OPIC, who can probably give us more information on where you get those funds and how you get that money. Am I correct? Last year we had, and I don't know how that works honestly, so I have to do the homework to do that, but this is a resource to be able to provide that type of information to you. And again, that would be like a one-on-one question. Does that make any sense? Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I would like to make a biased comment to one of the panel officials over there. Jolene Musongo, she mentioned about women helping other women, and I can call her my friend, my confidant, my business consultant, my greatest supporter. We've been in the industry together for 15 years, and I started out as a receptionist as well in the construction industry, and a male boss saw something in me and told me the same thing that her boss told her. And I told her, I said, what do I do? And she said, you can do it. If I did it, you can do it. And she encouraged me a lot, and literally even taught me how to do some of the things that I was not able to. And from then on, okay. Is that when I stop? And I excelled at my profession beyond my dreams. I went ahead and went to school, and the company paid for my school, and I am a construction management associate, which is a 9-month course that you can do. And I'd like to also encourage other women that it is doable. As Jolene said, it is a male-dominated industry, and we have a lot of obstacles, and this color, this accent, because you're really, you know, when you're out there in the construction field and you're talking to people with an accent, with, I'm sorry to say, southern white men, they will always, you know, ask you to repeat or put that in email because they did not understand what you said, what you just said. And those obstacles can be met, and I want people to get into sciences. I want women to get into sciences. I used to fear science, but it is a blast. It is good to create stuff. It's good to work with numbers. It's good to work with architecture, with anything. So I'd like to encourage that, and Jolene, thank you so much. And even when 2 years ago, when I told her that I'm done with construction, I've given 15 years of it, and I want to do something. I want to wake up at 4 o'clock, the same way I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the job sites. Okay? It's the same way I want to wake up for my own business. And I quit the business, and she looked at me and said, girl, whatever you want, I'm there for you. And it's been 2 years, and Jolene, thank you so much.
I just want to make a comment about mentoring, and at 75, I think I'm way older than you. Maybe 20, 25 years. So this role of mentoring, I'm 75, and so it's much of what I do. And so I would say that test the water. Don't make your idea such that you're going to focus on one person, but learn to ask thoughtful questions and see if this person is really worthy of guiding you, because they may not be. Now, I have to ask questions of people that I'm mentoring, and right now I'm mentoring a guy in his 60s who's going to build a hotel in the Holy Land, and but I had to make sure that he was going to be able to be mentored, and because if he wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to waste the time. So a mentor can change your life, but make sure you've got the right one, and do it thoughtfully and slowly as well. So.
I told him, since he's in a women forum, men first. My name is Mumbi Baskin. I am a resident of DFW area and a businesswoman. I look around and I cannot believe that we are more than 3 women. Let me explain something. About 4 years ago, Beth, 3 years ago, if I was not the 3rd woman in the chamber, I was probably the 2nd. We were, and it was just the same women every year, year after year, year after year. I told Benson, we need to do something to get women to join the chamber. And Benson, thank you for accepting my request and believing in me. And he approached Beth. We put together a few women, and I'm so glad and so happy that we have more than 5 women in this room today. Yeah. I know a lot of things have been said that I can say that have happened to me. Exactly what you said, and I mean, I share so many things that have been said, but what is important to me today that I would like every woman to take home is the very key words, it's building relationships. Let us get away from what we've been told that we have our PhDs in pulling her down, our doctorates are pulling her down. Let us learn now to take something from here and build these relationships to be able to build up and bring others up. Being a businesswoman in this city, the first Kenyan and women-owned restaurant, it's been hell. I'd never had anybody that I could run to. Thank Beth, she connected me with somebody in the same field that has mentored me. So giving back and bringing others up is the legacy that we want to leave. So with that said, let us not do the PhD, let us pull them up. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something to what everyone's been saying as far as women, being pulled down by men and not really being supportive. And I agree with you, Mumbi. This chamber has changed significantly from what it was 3 or 4 years ago. And I couldn't be more proud to see all these people here. But I have to say that it's so true that I think there's a belief that there's not enough There's more than enough for everyone in this entire world to have. So you can do anything, be anything, and have anything. I've had my own challenges as the first woman of this chamber, trust me. I really have. Not a lot of support from the women community, for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, if you look at yourself and say, you know what, I can put a school in a community in New Mexico, I can have a church where I build people, young people, I can get my PhD and really decide, you know what, everything I've learned, it doesn't matter, right? I'm gonna do something else. Then you've made a decision, but you have to trust yourself, and you can never, never depend on someone else to decide who you are, what you wanna do, where you wanna go. It's about giving back to the community. And for me, this environment has given me an opportunity. I've said this so many times. It's given me an opportunity to just give back to this community, not on, and maybe a little selfish, because I just want people to do what they want for themselves without, you know, feeling that you're doing something for someone else. Because as women, as mothers, I have 3 children, we have to take care of ourselves, right? More importantly, before we can take care of someone else. So I'm sure you guys can understand that. So I'm going to try to not talk too much, because I want everyone else to talk, because I can talk forever.
My name is Rosemary from Kenya. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I have a question to the women on the panel. There's so much about being mentored, but personally, I'd want to know, what is it, what do I need to do to mentor the women below me? I am in charge of a department that has 3 women, 3 lawyers who are below me, and I struggle with it. When am I a boss? And when am I a mentor? I mean, where do I strike that balance? Because if I give you work, I'm sort of like, my boss tells me I'm a completer finisher. I'm those people who want things done. If our job is to walk to some place, I will ensure we have walked there. Whether we crawl or swim, we just walk there. So I have that, do it. So when do you strike the balance of mentoring, but you're still in charge of, you know, yeah. I'm really interested to hear about that conversation. Thank you.
I have just a quick, I've been in that situation, being a lawyer and having lawyers below, and you know, it is a different kind of mentoring when you're working your mentees that are in your institution. It's a little different, and it's, you know, my recommendation there is to not be that person that, you know, goes and has a drink with them, but to be a real professional mentor, and there is a difference. And, you know, you have to draw some lines, and I love people, and I love to get to know people, and I want to get to know everything about them, but professionally, my suggestion is, and this is just my take, is that it's often better with a relationship where you share employment, that it really is more of a professional relationship where, you know, you're not getting too much into each other's personal business. But listen, women in the workplace can provide other women opportunities.
At the big table, all the men, it's just automatically that the men will go and sit at the middle table, the big table, and if there's any extra chairs or something, the women will go and sit on those extra chairs. Have you guys noticed that? Yeah? So to me, it's like, no. I mean, if you're there in the conference room before everybody else, take a seat at the table. It's just these little things that kind of elevate you and get you heard in a room. Little things like, okay, when you are negotiating a contract, do women really negotiate? Can you really negotiate without feeling guilty? Oh my God, am I asking for too much? What will they think of me? Did I really deserve that? So it's this little advice that I tend to give along the ways, especially to the people that report to me, that I've noticed along the way that make a difference, as small and as minute as they seem to be.
Can I have an insight about that one? And this one I'm talking as I'm an entrepreneur, and I do mentor to startup entrepreneurs. And this one I'm going to tell to her and everybody else who is there who is a boss. As bad as it may sound, they have said it, you have to have the level, the boundary. And how you do this, you start with it. Because you cannot make somebody feel too close to you and then you start pushing them away. Because that's how they're gonna backbite you. First of all, show them you are the boss, but do not command them. Because that's the problem with a lot of boss. They command. Instead of telling people, we can do this, let us do this together. Let them know you're working together toward a cause, and they will respect you. And they will know when you say it's this we are doing, they will respect you. And another thing they have said over there, you're in business and you are the boss. You don't interact with them, don't hang out with them. They work for you, they are under you. Keep the lane. As bad as it may sound, trust me, I have done that. I have been there. So interact with them, but still keep the lane. Let them learn how to respect you. Be the kind of person who will really like to encourage them and ask them if they have any issues, they can come to you and you can solve the problem without any argument or any disrespect.
Thank you. I thought you'll never get to me, but thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to give a couple of observations. I just got here this afternoon. My name is David Ochwangi. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been, thinking in my mind, what is it that I can say in a women's forum that will even make sense? Because I'm in awe of all of you. Truly, truly impressed. Thank you. So, the only observation, a couple of things. Let me say this. I think you might relate to what I'm saying relative to what I've known. My late dad used to relate to me. I come from a place called Kisii in Kenya. And one of the common names in Kisii is actually Nyangaresi. So back in the colonial days, the white man would call those young boys that are loitering around and call them, come here, you young and lazy boy. So they would come. Yes. So, and when he left, the legacy that he left was that young and lazy has left. So the mothers took that upon themselves to call the young boys Nyangaresi, young and lazy. So
that's the problem. All goes back to
right. And the point I'm trying to relate to all of you, hopefully it connects, is that what is that legacy that we leave as human beings? And over the years, especially those of us that have been in this diaspora that interact with our government, our ambassadors here, or interact with any of our own people, we've had a lot of opportunities to make quite an impression, especially men, because we literally came here, there's more men actually in this diaspora from other countries than women, because we had those opportunities than women did at the time. But now that is actually changing. So much so that there's a common phrase, most of you ladies would know, that, guys would say, well, that girl or the women are living as at the light, meaning women have made so much progress now that we're literally trying to feed off of what you guys know. And I say this sincerely. Thank you for that. There's a group, yes, there's a group called Kwitu. Any Kwitu members in this? There they are. Kwitu is a social organization that was started about 3 or 4, they would know better. that has plugged into about 12,000 women, Kenyan women that live in the United States and Canada. You know, we've tried as men to plug into that. There are men that actually try to plug into that as men, trying to apply to be admitted, because that's the value that you bring to us. So for this panel here, I'd say, what is the legacy? What is the outcome that you're getting that can be quantified, let's say a year from today? What I would like to see when I come back here next year, I want to have a reference point that from that conference that we attended in 2017, based on those conversations that we had with that beautiful panel, this has been the result. This is the direction we're going. So lastly, please, just 1 second. I know, you know, I'm taking full advantage. You know, we had a conference in Atlanta. We tried to have what we call a diaspora conference every year. So last year we had one, and then we said we're going to start having our conferences be outcome driven. It can be just one thing in that conference that we're looking forward to and be able to accomplish it and then call it our legacy. One of the things we said at that conference is that we are going to reconstitute our diaspora economy. How do we do that? We say, let's just get our bank. It could be in any form. We applied to the, the National Credit Union Administration. And I'm proud to say today as I stand here that we're one of the very few that have received preliminary approval to open a credit union in the United States. That, you know, that's no small task. And we're plugging into Kwitu. You know, we're telling the Kwitu women and all of you here that we're doing something. We don't want to be left at the lights. But anything that you can bring in, please let us grasp onto that. So I just want to say that. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much for sharing, first of all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shanthani Connor. As a woman who has now invested quite a bit of my time with the next generation, there's two things that I want to leave with us today, and that is what I'm finding very beneficial about each of us is that our intrinsic value is so significant. And as people, understanding how important that is and how that gives us a foundation and a blueprint. And if we can unlock the intrinsic value in each person, then there's no need for competition. That's where we can come together and be synergistic, and we can pull on each other's giftings. And that's really what I want that impression for us to leave here today, to know that we can literally change a life. I believe in that, and so I spend a lot of time looking for what I think are the great seeds in front of me. And if I can unlock those seeds, no matter what neighborhood or community that they come from, then that person will have value and will be able to make a difference.
We'll take one more question at the back. Last question. Okay, sorry.
No, I don't have a question. It's just maybe a comment or something I need to add. Myself, I'm so honored. I've been able to participate in our Rwandan community here in the US. So I serve as a vice president for the whole US Rwandan community. And I've been able to interact with a lot of women, very educated, old, young, medium, every kind of woman. So what I came to realize, what brings us down, or what the problems we face, mostly starts with us. Do you really believe in yourself? Do you believe that you can actually achieve what you feel that you can achieve? I know there are always many obstacles. Even many do face them, I'm sure. But it has to start with us. We have to become our support systems for each other, for one another. If I have my fellow woman trying to do something, do I support or do I backbite them? Do I try to ask her how she got where she got? Or do I try to pretend that I'm something when actually I'm not? I think it has to start with us women to realize our potential, to realize that those men who think are like something beyond what we are, they're actually not. This is what I usually tell my fellow women in the Rwandan community. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. When I had those kids, I treat them equally. There's no difference. My son is not different from my daughter because they're all my children. They go to the same school, they attend the same education. Where does the difference come when we start working? I'm in the same class with the guy. I might be smarter than the guy. When we get in the workplace, they think they can be smarter than I am. So I think we need to start realizing who we are as a people. Don't let somebody bring you down, even if it's your husband. I'm sorry to say so. You know, it doesn't have to. We come together to, you know, we have to fulfill each other. Nobody's supposed to bring you down. If you let that person bring you down, guess what? It's going to work on you. But if you stand for your values, you know who you are, you know what you believe in, guess what? Challenges will be there, but finally you overcome. That's what I can say.
I just want to give a quick addition to that. It's another tendency that I've noticed that women, as women, we tend to hold on to stuff. That woman, she backbited me, or she did this to me, oh, I'm so mad. And a year from now, I'm still talking about it as if it happened yesterday. It hurts so much. Just get over that. Get over that. You have a plan, you have your goals, just go and pursue your goals. It happened, okay. Just brush it off and then keep on going. Learn from it. I'm not saying forget it and go through the same mistakes. Learn from that, but don't spend too much time on that. You have way more important things to do. And that's why as guys, they can have a heated argument and then soon after it's done, hey, do you want to go have a drink? Why can't we do that? Let's try and practice. Let's consciously try and do that. Maybe it's not in our nature, but let's make it a point. Like, okay, I've had this issue with this lady at the appropriate time. Hey, do you want to go get a drink? Why not?
I know we need to finish up here, but I will say that we laugh about that at our house because I say, men have short memories, and my husband's like, what do you mean? I just don't remember it. So, it really, I do think we need to learn from our mistakes, but I do think that we are sensitive beings, and it's part of who we are, and it's part of the reason we're very effective and we connect, and there are a lot of great things about it, but I do think that we have to be able to kind of put things aside, and I had a big lesson my first week at my first law firm. I thought the firm was going to close down because 2 guys had spoke bad words to each other, and I'd never really seen. I grew up with 3 girls, and I'd never seen them. I went back to my husband, and I'm like, gosh, I think the firm's going to fall apart. The 2 managing partners were having words in the hallway, and they used the F word. I've never heard that before. In public together, arguing. The next day it was like, hi Jim, hi Bill, it's no lunch, everyone. I was like, they acted like it didn't happen. And then I realized that, no, they knew it happened. They just didn't care. They just figured it out and went on, and we're not good at that. And I don't like to generalize because I think, women are great at a lot of things, but we do need to have a shorter memory about some of the things that take us to places we don't need to be. And it's funny because I accused the men in my family of having short memories, and they accused me of making it up and saying they just don't remember, which I think is really funny because I want to talk about, that they're purposeful about it, and they really just don't remember. They literally it's like done. It's over, and they put it someplace that I don't have in my brain, and I work every day to have, but I don't have that space. So I still remember it, but I try to move away from it, where they put it somewhere, and they don't remember it. Dude, it's really remarkable.
Okay, just one last question. David has a... Okay.
We'll take 2 quick questions.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm an attorney, as most of you know. I've invested a lot of my time in the community, and I'm an say I've done quite a lot of business here in EFW. And even today as a woman, I still face that challenge of women come, or let me say people come to my law office and they expect to find this elderly lady or a man, and then they see me as young as I am, and that already is a pushback to them. They won't probably come back again, and they opt to go for an older man. And right now, I am the current youngest female attorney, Kenyan attorney in the U.S. But mine is more of a challenge because a lot of the time I go to these forums, we give talks, like I've given a lot of panel myself, and people leave there feeling like winners. But the question is, and this is a challenge to us, when we leave here, what are you going to do with what you've learned here? Okay? These women are amazing, they are inspiring. I myself feel inspired just listening to them and their story. Okay? And I want to tell you, especially having been an entrepreneur here in DFW, let us look at the way forward. How we're going to empower ourselves. And the one thing I've learned is, every time I step up to a challenge I'm given, like let's say I have to go do a panel somewhere, I find myself going back to study and learn new things. When you empower other people, you end up empowering yourself and learning yourself. Let us stand for each other as women. There have been so many, if you're a woman entrepreneur, when you do something wrong, the social media goes ballistic on you. But if it's a man, and most of you know that, but if you're a man, they will brush it off. The other boys will come and stand up for you, and within a short time, it will all be gone. But as a woman, a year later, they will still be talking about what I do. So what can we as women do to support each other? We want to stand up for each other. Let us support us as women, because for the men here to respect us, we have to show that we've respected ourselves, that we stand for each other. If we put our women down, guess what? These men are going to ride along. And trust me, when men decide to tag along to bring you down, you will go down so fast. Okay, especially being an entrepreneur. You can have invested like 50 years in the Kenyan community, done all good. But when your fellow women decide to put you down, and the men joining in that boat, you will go down so fast. So mine is a challenge to us women. As we live here, we all feel as winners. But if we don't do something about the feeling that we have today and what we've learned and the challenges, and step up to them and support each other, tomorrow, all this feeling is going to be done. And we're going to be back to where we were before we got here. So as we live here, let us all challenge ourselves. Join an organization. There are so many women organizations out here. That is the first challenge. Join yourself an organization. You may think you're well off in the community. You may think you have it all. But trust me, you need your fellow women to uplift you. That is the first thing. And I'm telling you this from experience. You need your fellow women.
Well, thank you, Rosemary. I will do that at the Yes, and just that you said that, I know back in Kenya, I had an opportunity to open a branch in Mombasa, hire, and we acquired 75 market share. When I sat in the real estate panel, I said, oh yes, that's what I did. That was an accomplishment. But most interesting thing is this, I was at a call box because we were going now to launch a phase for Kensel, which was going now, the telecommunication revolution in Africa. I was part of the spearheading opportunity with Alcatel. Now, I was calling the head office in Nairobi, but ahead of me there was, that time we used to use pagers. And then I went to this call box, there was this lady, she was crying, she's saying, oh, she was calling somebody saying, oh, I didn't get the job. And the way I was so ready to work and everything. And when she finished, I said, hey, you know what, just give me a second. And then I called head office, said ABC, and then I told my boss at that time, hey, I think I found our receptionist. I listened to her heart. And that's how we got the 75%. That lady, when she became my reception once we had the showroom there, what she did, she filtered out who is coming to talk to me. She would call me, oh, David, is this what has happened? And ask her, okay, what do you think you should do? She would give me an answer. I tell her, then do it. Within a very short time, I was free. I was now able to go out there and build more business because I believed in her, you see? So the thing is this, I will address the issue. I know women, there are many challenges, and I can safely play to where it says on mentorship. There's a saying which goes like this, and please remember, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. Remember that. Yes. Now, you are a leader, women in leadership, learn to listen. And you who wants to be mentored, learn to be found. When you ask a question to your fellow lady, and preferably, I understand sometimes when you work with somebody who you're working with, separate yourself from mentoring them. Let them be your employees. If they want, they can find somebody else parallel to what similar career they do. And when they reach out to you, okay, you ask them, okay, what options do you have? They will tell you. You will tell them, then do it, and get back to me. So what did you do? What happened? The mentor found you. Mentee, they find each other, okay? Don't ask anybody to mentor you. Ask them questions and weigh what they answer you, and they will not tell you what to do. They will ask you the hard questions. Take the hard questions, get feedback. That's how you get mentored. Here in Dallas, I get mentored by masters of real estate. Those are the ones who are up there. Right now, Zuri Realty, I can tell you I joined the chamber. Zuri Realty is a multi-million-dollar producing company. Okay? Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it. Join chambers like this. Mentor, even if you're not good at it, advise, ask that person, so the decision that you made, how did you arrive at it? You teach them how to think. Thank you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for being here, spending the time working hard, putting us together, herding cats, trying to figure out where we're going to be and what we're going to say. We really appreciate your work. We appreciate you allowing your mom, giving her the time and space that she spent over the last few years organizing us and working so hard for the chamber, and to have family support here. Well, that's what it's all about. So you all are doing your job by supporting your mother and coming out to join this team. We really thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for attending. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Beth, Kelly, Rashonda, Jolene, for being here. We all, I'm sure, appreciate it. We're inspired. We're moved. I think that this has given us enough to get through 2017 and into 2018. So I really, really appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be the moderator of this panel, and I look forward to the future. So with that said, I'd like you to just give me one word that describes how you see the future in terms of women connecting women.
Hope.
Yes, very good. I like it.
Tenacity.
Yes.
Encouraging.
Dream big.
I just wanted to say that please join the chamber, right? This is a place that when you ask what can you do, this is a place to build. When I came along, I didn't even know what to do, but of course I had, people pushing me to do it, and I won't mention their names, but I think they start with a name very short, 4 letters. She pushed me along, and I think when you have someone like that, I didn't ask to be mentored, but I saw a need, and I had people that are supportive. And you said something very powerful. Women support each other. It's extremely important. I don't see a lot of Ugandan women here. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of disparity between tribes, gender, all kinds of things. People are people. We just need to work together as women and support each other. Thank you. That's all I have.
Hello, Kelly. Nice to see you.
Great to see you too.
Wow. First year. First time.
First time, and I will be a constant repeater. It's been an incredible conference.
Tell me why.
I think this conference is the right size because it's not too many. It's not the masses. You're able to really connect and make personal relationships and first-time business contacts, sharing best practices. And the panels and the content of the conference itself is very rich. So I've been really, really overwhelmed in a positive way.
So what struck you most, especially with a Q&A from the women, with the women audience that you had? What is it? What did you get out of it?
You know, I think the biggest thing that I got out of it is that we are all in this fight together as women and trying to really blaze our trail in the workforce and being in leadership positions. And a lot of the issues that we deal with, regardless of race or age, we all come across as women, and just how important it is to have a unified front and to really pull each other up and encourage each other as we go throughout our careers.
Any call of action to people there that might be dubious about what the East African Chamber can do, and especially startup women, you know, women who are starting up small businesses, and you're one of them, and I am one of them. Any call of action?
Yeah, I mean, I would say get involved. I mean, get involved. It's a true, authentic community here that's really action-driven. So just so you know, I joined a couple months ago, and I've probably had at least 5 to 10 meetings just within the last few months of joining the chamber. So it's really actionable, really great people, and a great way to get involved and for me to grow my business.
Wonderful. See you next year.
Thank you.
All right. Nice to see you, Mombi. Always a pleasure. Great supporter of the East African Chamber of Commerce. What is it that today, well, this year, that stands out from last year or from all the other years that you've ever attended?
Well, this year is different. Unfortunately, I missed last year due to a family situation. This year is awesome. You can feel the vibe. We have, I mean, the attendance, it's amazing. And above everything, the women have increased in numbers.
Yes.
That is such an accomplishment for the East African Chamber of Commerce.
You mentioned that over there at the Women's Forum that we are now 5 women. What does that mean?
We've always been 3 or 2.
Okay.
So, and I was so glad, as I said, we had to do something.
Right.
And I did not think it was going to be this.
Yes.
I knew we were going to make an impact, but
Right.
not to what I saw today.
Right.
To a point whereby we can no longer be accommodated at Bed's house. It's too small. I love that. So I'm looking forward to a greater participation of women next year.
Yes.
And more so, if we can start tapping the millennials, who are the majority today. I mean, I'm so ready to retire and have these girls take the wheel.
Oh, they will. We are focusing, and I want you to help me with that. Down the line, I have talked to the EACC board members, and I've asked them, we have a program. I have a program, an idea, an epiphany lined up for next year.
Yes.
For the youth.
Yes.
So this is going to be great.
Awesome.
So please, if I call you, please answer my phone calls.
I'm there.
Okay?
I'm
I know you
call.
are.
I'll support you.
Thank
It's
you
a
so
worthy
much.
cause.
Thank you so much, Moby. Nice to see you.
Nice talking to you too.
All right. Dr. Josephine, amazing. You blew me away. Tell the audience why, so that they can also be blown away.
I just want to send my thanks to God for having given me the privilege to be who I am today, and being a doctor, majored in education, and I've helped different students pass their National Council State Board of Nursing exam, and I do it voluntarily. I treat a lot of students. Right now I'm the director of nursing for one of the big hospitals in New Mexico. I have 46 employees, and on my motherly level I have 7 children. I have 90 acres of land with 12 animals. I have 7 horses, 7 sheep. I roll in 7, so if that makes sense. Wow. But I'm so honored to be at this conference, and being one of the speakers, it gave me an opportunity to appreciate East Africa in general, and then being able to contribute to the beauty of the Pearl of Africa.
Okay, so you have a dream for this 90 how many acres?
90.
90 acres. You have a dream, you have a vision. What is it, and how would you like it realized?
One of the dreams for this 90 acres is to build an assistant living. The other one is to have a farm, and the goal is to bring products from Africa and grow them here. We do have a large population, and I'm encouraging any agriculturalist who knows what they want to grow in America. I have the land where they can test their products.
So really what you want the East African Chamber of Commerce to do is to connect you to resources.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Because you have what you have, but you need resources.
I do need resources.
Okay.
And I want to give agriculturists opportunities, people who know how to farm. This is an opportunity from an African woman who is ready to donate land. Come practice what you've always had in vision. Most of us can't have the assets, but I'm willing to help people who want to farm.
Amazing. Again,
Thank
you so much for coming, and we hope to see you next year. And maybe next year you will have a different testimony, because I know you're in the right place. And next year you will have a different testimony.
Believe me, I always have testimonies all the time.
So don't forget to come and see me and tell me what's been going on. Okay?
Will do.
Thank you, Dr. Josephine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Brooks.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Describe to me again what I heard in that women's room. That you're the youngest
female attorney in age, but not in experience. So currently, I am actually the youngest Kenyan female attorney here in the U.S.
Okay.
In terms of age, but not in terms of experience.
Which will come over time. I mean, I'm sure you have it, but it will still...
I have the experience, but I just happen to be young in terms of it's challenging when people come to your office and they've heard so much about you, they know you by name, and when they finally get to put a face on the name that they've always had, they're surprised to find that this is a young female, not contrary to what they were expecting, to get an elderly, kind of like a lady.
Okay, so what did you take from today's Women's Forum? I mean, there was a lot of energy there. Did you notice, did anything stand out for you? Were you here last year?
Yes, I was.
So what stood out for you this year?
I think what stood out to me this year is like we had so many women, and a lot of these women are very smart and they have a lot to share. And I feel like most women here needed a channel where they can encourage each other and look and help each other go forward. And I felt like one of the key things that I took from here is how we should empower each other as women. And especially when it comes to, you go somewhere and you find the people are putting our young female entrepreneurs or even our older female entrepreneurs, the fact that you're a female and they're putting you down. We need to stand by each other. We need to uplift each other, because when we uplift each other, we move forward. But if we women encourage when other people discourage, like we encourage other people when they're trying to put women down, we are bringing ourselves down instead of uplifting ourselves.
Any message for young upcoming lawyers? What is a message that you'd like to tell the youth? Because look, East Africa Chamber of Commerce, we're trying to attract as much youth as we can. And from next year, and I want you to be part of it, we are bringing something quite totally different for next year's conference. What message would you have for a young upcoming young lady or even a man that wants to get into your field?
I always encourage them to believe in yourself and just go for it. When I first decided to go to law school, I had a nice job working as a flight attendant for like almost 6 years. And I think the biggest fear for me was, how am I going to do this? How am I going to support my tuition? And even if I graduate, being an African with an accent, how am I going to venture into this field? And all that went away the moment I just decided to go for it and take one day at a time. And even when you finish school, and it's kind of difficult for a lot of African with our accent to get jobs in a lot of law firms, but that should not discourage you. Reach out to other attorneys in the community. Most of them are willing to mentor you. You just have to be willing to learn and go for it. But trust me, if you go for it, believe in yourself, everything is gonna be okay. But you have to take the first initiative. It's just not about saying, I want to. Go ahead and do it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And hope to see you next year.
And thank you so much for having me.